and Rez here with us, and just want to thank everyone for taking the time out of their day to come and have a bit of a listen. So, look, I guess the first thing that we would like to touch base on is, I guess, around security and what makes us a bit different to other projects out there. And obviously, you guys are aware of a little bit of a delay that we had to launch and things like that. So, yeah, Rez, Jazz, who would like to give us a bit of a rundown on security for us?
I think I'll jump in on that one. So, as you guys know, yeah, we were a little bit late in launching. That's because we wanted everything to work just right. We didn't want to compromise. So, one of the things that we were finding throughout our testing when we first launched was kind of extortionate gas fees being one thing that was really obviously undesirable for us. We wanted to make sure everybody was getting value for money when purchasing their NFT. You know, it's all good saying that we've got like a $500 price tag on one of these, right? But when you have to pay $50 in gas on top, it's not worth it. And that money doesn't come to us anyway; it just goes to the network. And so what we started doing was we were trying to figure out a way of bringing that down, because essentially our contract was deployed using a multi-sig. And because a multi-sig is basically a smart contract, um, it has to go through a number of verifications and transactions. And the more that you're going through, the higher the gas fee. So we had to find a way of reducing that, but without compromising on the security aspect of things. So I'll try and keep things simple, because I have a tendency of going in maybe into a little bit too much detail with things sometimes. So we deployed our contract using a proxy wallet, which deployed the contract from our multi-sig. That wallet then handed over ownership to the multi-sig. Um, the deployed contract off the back of that multi-sig then created the 4 NFTs. And because ultimate ownership lies with that multi-sig, it's basically all between the three of us. So myself, Mr. O, and Rez are the three signatories. With us being in different countries, not knowing each other personally, we felt that this was the kind of securest method that we could offer to any of our investors. And we haven't really seen it done on Kronos at all. I think we've seen one other project use a multi-sig, but we've never seen a multi-sig used for the purposes of deployment in the way that we have. So that's kind of key to what we wanted to do. We didn't really want to compromise on that, and unfortunately, we did have to like delay the launch a little bit. And I was happy to do that as long as we kept the security aspect of things in line.
Great. Thanks for that, buddy. So one of the other things that we're going to do is put together some videos as well. So things like demonstrating on how to do the verification process for NFT holders. We'll have a bit of a video for that, and we'll do up a few more for some other aspects as well, just so it's nice and easy for everyone. And you know, a lot of people like to be visual as opposed to reading. All right, so we'll throw this one out to you, Rez. So being the type of project that we are, we're wanting to come up with ideas on how to do things. Can you just chuck some ideas at this group here and just let them know on you know what they can think of, and just give them a bit of guidance?
Yeah, absolutely. So when we first were formulating this, we actually had a bunch of ideas ourselves for interconnecting projects that would eventually feed an overarching project. And what we had envisioned, or the type of projects that we were looking at, anything from exchanges, so DEX exchanges, DeFi exchanges, anything to node projects, and even some ROI within reason projects out there. So like your miners and your other type of protocols like that. So all of those, we can write a contract that in the forefront of all those contracts, mine, and just for some context, is to generate profits, right? So once we generate profits or revenue, the idea is that we take a percentage of that profit or revenue, and it feeds into the inner circle vault. So essentially, with us being the investors or the overarching umbrella for these other protocols, we want to feed back into you guys and what you guys have invested to help launch those protocols. So instead of it coming to the team that launched that protocol, obviously there's going to need to be some type of profit or revenue for sustainability for that project. So we continue to receive that level of revenue from that project. We have to figure out what those numbers look like, and whatever it is that we decide comes to the inner circle vault. We have a split setup. I think this is the time to discuss that. Am I wrong?
Go for it, yeah.
Yeah, so what we had discussed was, so whatever that revenue that comes in is going to be a 90-10 split until vault maturity, meaning that 90% of all of those profits will come back into the inner circle vault until the vault hits maturity. And then 10% comes to the team wallet for continued operating costs. Once we hit vault maturity meaning that everybody is going to be able to achieve return on their investment, and we lock those funds up so that we know that our investors and their returns are secured. And then after that, we put it up to the inner circle on what they want to do with things like additional profits or dividends and things like that, and they can vote. Once we reach vault maturity, though, it becomes a 50-50 split once we know that all the investors' securities and investments are secured. And then we just split the profits down the middle, and the team takes 50%, and then the vault will take an additional 50%.
Thank you very much, mate. That was brilliant. All right. So we've got some good questions from the community. So we'll just jump straight into it. So some of these questions will have come from our inner circle members, and some of them have come from the outer circle. So the first question is definitely an outer circle one, and that is just around the curiosity around the NFTs, where they can see that there's 2,000 available, and they just wanted to know, how many per tier and all that fun stuff. So obviously we've now launched, and all that information is available in the white paper, as well as if you connect to the minting site, you'll see all that. So that pretty much answers that one. So the next question is around node projects. So what they want to know is, how would, for example, a node project or some other protocol idea work within inside this project? Because there's obviously pool shares, there's things happening from NFTs, the actual project itself, and they just want to know if there's any structure to be laid out in time. So this one goes to you, Jazz.
So basically, any subsequent project that comes out of this. So obviously we're not just limiting the investment pools to projects only, but if that's what the community wants, they want to create a project alongside any other investments they want to put in, that's absolutely fine. We'll help get that developed, and those projects would essentially be independent of the inner circle, except in what Rez said about the split. So basically 90% of profits up until vault maturity directly get funneled into our vault. The project would retain any revenue required for sustainability. It would retain any revenue required for costs. But aside from that, anything else that's kind of left over that is the profits, that will be 90% straight into the vault. Now, when it comes to any additional projects that we want to put out there, we're looking for stuff that would ideally be sustainable investments with realistic returns. And I suppose if the community wants a node project, then we will absolutely run the data in creating one. But what we'll need is input from the community on how we move that forward. Because we've seen a lot of node projects out there. We've seen ones that have failed. We've seen ones that are failing. We've seen ones that are just doing okay and just kind of in hibernation at the moment, obviously. But we want to make sure that we've got a plan in place to keep one going for the long term. The whole goal of the inner circle is not to just make people quick money, but to provide a passive income going forward from these projects that we've created alongside our community. Hopefully that answers the question. Did I miss any points, Mr. Roy?
Yeah. Let me add on to that. So, in specifically speaking to a node project, when we talk about node projects, unless there's some type of real world utility or things like that, they're typically not sustainable. So one of the other things that we want to also discuss with the team is the life of that project, and we'd have to communicate that to those investors that get into that particular node project that maybe aren't in the inner circle, that that project would have a lifespan. It wouldn't be running forever because that's not realistic. So that's just one of the things that we would take into consideration to keep to our values. That say we launch a node project and we discover that it's only sustainable for a year, we would inform investors that it's only sustainable for a year and that's how long it's going to be out. And that's how long we'll take profits before we have to shut it down.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's the key part of this is the communication aspect of things. You know, you guys as the investors, you'll be making the decisions. You know, we want to put out stuff that you guys want, but at the same time, we've got to make you aware of where things are going. If it is unsustainable, it's we'll make you aware of that. But we're hoping that we bring together a bunch of great minds and maybe, maybe, just maybe, somebody will come out with some fantastic idea that can keep a node project sustainable for a long term. Maybe it is feasible, maybe people just haven't thought about it. And this is the whole point. It's about bringing the minds together, making sure that we all collectively can, put some brain power into this and make things happen that others haven't had the benefit of doing, uh, because this format is just not something that exists at the moment.
Thank you, lads. That was quite good. So the next question is around marketing, and people are curious to know how we are curious to plan on marketing the project if the NFTs project if I'm to sell. So I know you've got some good mind around this one, Rez. So I'll throw this one over to you.
Yeah, marketing is always a very touchy subject, especially in this format. We want to encourage those like-minded, informed individuals who are aware of DeFi, who are aware of NFTs, who are aware of crypto, things like that, because that's only going to bolster our community intellect, right? And that's what we want. We want to continue to bring those people in who are very savvy when it comes to those areas and have ideas. Now, that doesn't mean that we don't want people outside of the crypto world not to join. A lot of people may not be aware of how crypto works, but they still have really good ideas, whether it's they're artistic and maybe they have a good idea for some art that we can launch as an NFT, or maybe they have some real world aspects if we decide to launch some kind of mining farm, solar wise or something like that. But they're not really into crypto, but this is a good vehicle to do that. And that's kind of why we launched the 4 entry level points for the NFTs for all level of investors. If they're maybe not big time investors like myself, I don't have a lot of money in crypto. I'm very cautious, very budgety, if you will, when it comes to my crypto investment, because it is very high risk. And so we created those 4 entry points: $50, $125, $250, and $500 for those people, so that when they come in and maybe they're not too sure-footed like a majority of us are when it comes to crypto, they still have a level of involvement. They have a level of engagement, and we're not going to dilute their say in the project. We want everybody's input of all kinds of mind. I picture that movie with George Clooney, Tomorrowland, where they just bring in all kinds of minds to this safe area, and they all collectively create and can thrive together. And that's kind of the vision that I have for this, where we want to bring people in of various walks, various mindsets, but all still have a similar goal to improve. They have ideas and they want to help better this industry. So we bring them in, and we take their ideas and we take their investments and we bring them to fruition. And that's only going to help everybody in the long run. So we don't want to minimize anybody's say. Anybody who joins at 50 to 500 is going to have just as much input in where we go as everybody else, because that's how we want to keep it.
And thank you for that, mate. And look, that leads us straight into our next question. We've had some questions here already previously answered. So, around, are we going to wait for a certain amount of time for the NFTs to mint? Wait until we have enough funds? Are we going to hold back? Really, at the moment, the main thing that we want to do is ensure that
I think we've
so yes,
we lost you for a second. Sorry, sorry, Mr. O. That might have just been me. I think I lost you for a second.
No, that's okay. So, I mean, we've got questions just relating to how soon we plan on doing our investments. So, and I was just touching base that ideally we want to wait until the NFTs are sold, but obviously we can review all that in Q1. And, provided we've got the funds there, if the community wants to really start something before then, we can look at it and we can hold it to a vote for the community. Because at the end of the day, this is a community-driven project, and we don't want to, hold back when we don't necessarily need to. So, Jazz, this is a really good question for you. So this one came at us, and being that we are a community-driven project, would it be fair to say that there's some form of voting in place?
Yeah, there's so we've got a voting platform in place, and that voting platform is very fair because what it does, it counts on your NFT. So you connect your wallet and you vote based on your level of NFTs. If you got one, you get one vote. If you got 10, you get 10 votes. So yeah, that's kind of how the voting works. It's very simple method, but after we go through the stages of evaluating ideas, putting them forward, presenting some numbers, having a community decide on a few top goers for it, then we'll put it up on our voting platform, and from there, anybody with an NFT can participate and have a say in where it goes.
Now, Grant, I know you've got a bit to do in this particular area as well, mate. So would you like to give your perspective on how the voting works? Maybe more so why certain things were done the way they were, and maybe give them a little bit of a, I guess, sneak peek into the inner circle around voting.
Yeah, absolutely. And it just kind of carries or piggybacks off of what I just said, right? So everybody's value or everybody's input is important, despite the 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 entry point that you came in at, whether, like I said, 50, 125, 250, or 500. Um, we don't want to dilute that person's input. So if we ran the numbers and we had different schools of thoughts on how we were going to do this, we were thinking about basing it off of your vault share, and that was going to be the way that we hold voting rights. So based off if you had 4 platinums or 1 platinum or whatever, you would have this amount of percentage towards the voting. And it just looked at, after we took a step back after setting it that way, it was just that the platinums would be able to steamroll all the rest of the other tiers, right? Because obviously platinums hold a higher share in the vault. And we stepped back at that and took a hard look at it and kind of just decided that there really then at that point is no value to purchasing any of the other lower level NFTs, because I'm going to buy an NFT, I'm going to throw some money in it, I'm going to get some vault shares, yes, but I'm really not going to have a say in the direction it goes, because all these other higher players have more money in, and they obviously control what's going on. So why am I even going to do this when I can put my money somewhere else? And that's not kind of the mindset that we wanted to go towards, as we want to encourage everybody's input. So we made it a 1-for-1. So you hold one NFT and you get 1 vote. Now with that, let's just go ahead and throw the numbers out at you guys, because I can see people's minds and wheels spinning, and because mine are too. So if you buy a platinum for $500, you get 1 vote. Now, if you step back and look at the bronze NFTs at $50, technically for the same amount of money, maybe a little bit more, you'd have to purchase 11 of the bronze NFTs, so $550 to get the same returns that you would for a platinum NFT. But so you'd be spending the same amount of money, you have the same amount of shares in the vault. But if you were to purchase all the bronze versus as opposed to the platinum, you would technically have more votes in what it is we say we do. And that's okay. It was designed that way. It was meant to be that way because that's why there's a smaller number, a limited number of the bronze NFTs. There's only 200 of them. And same thing with the silver and the gold, because we didn't want to create that reverse role where if we had more bronze NFTs, people can buy up all the bronze NFTs and steamroll everybody else. So you really have to think about what's important to your investment or important to you here. We give you both sides of it. You can either focus on your returns from the vault and purchase the higher level NFTs to solidify your returns, or you can purchase the lower NFTs and gear more towards your voting rights when you're doing when we're voting for projects, basically, and still for the same amount of money have the same amount of shares in the vault. So depending on how you're doing it, I know some people are planning on buying multiple platinum NFTs, but really think about it. Take a step back and think about what it is that you want to accomplish. Do you want to have more shares, or do you want to have more say? So we'll leave that up to everybody else, but we designed it that way for a reason. So if all the bronze NFTs get bought up sooner, that's just to prevent them from overrunning the votes. And we don't want any given category to overrun any particular category because, like I said, everybody's input matters and we want to hear from everybody.
And see, the thing about this as well, I'm just going to put this out there. You know, other projects probably wouldn't tell you that, you know, which way you can steer your ship. You know, they'll probably just want you to spend the most money. But, you know, it's a case of, look, we're trying to hold this kind of transparent forum, and Rez just put it out there. You know, there's no kind of secrets here on how we're doing things. We're trying to be open as possible whilst maintaining as much security as we can.
Yeah, absolutely.
Excellent, guys. So definitely, I think that would have do something like that.
Oh, you're kind of choppy.
So the next question.
Oh, there you go. There you go. You're good.
All right, cool. So the next question is around potential investments and whether or not we have a list of those. So in regards to that, we certainly do have some, but we are back pocketing those at the moment because we feel it's really important that the very first project that we do is community driven. In regards to the community idea, and that we work on that, you know, with the community on their idea, and that the first one that comes off, you know, the first cab off the rank is going to be one that you guys as the community voted on and created. So next question then is around rewards, and they just want to know, will they be airdropped or are they going to have to claim them manually? So I'll throw this one out to you, Jazz.
I mean, this really is a discussion that we'd like to only have with the inner circle members themselves. You know, I can see who's in attendance, but because this recording of this AMA is going to go out to the outer circle as well, I'm going to hold back a little bit of the information. But basically, we'll be looking at discussing this with our community once the vault approaches its maturity level. But like I said, this is a discussion point for the inner circle at a later time.
Thank you very much. So look, the next question then is, you know, what do we feel is a reasonable notice to investors before changing investments or changing tactics? And I'll throw this one to you, Chris.
So this is kind of a different type of question, right? Because the community is involved in every step that we do. So for notices, I think we would put out notices for if a vote went live or if a proposal was selected. And we'd tell you guys at the moment that it was approved or it's up for a vote. But at the same time, the community should be constantly involved in that process. And we will include, because this is a community driven event, there's nothing that is going to happen in this Discord or in this protocol without the community's vote. We won't even move funds anywhere out of the vault, out of the treasury, anything like that, out of marketing without some type of community involvement and vote. So notification good time limit, it should be constant, to be honest with you, because everybody should be involved.
I mean, just to kind of add to that a little bit. I mean, I think the concern here is that we might pivot the project like other projects have done. I mean, that's what maybe I'm reading a bit too much into the question, but I feel like that's where it's kind of coming from. Um, I feel like um, I just want to make clear, the inner circle is not going to be pivoted. The concept is set out. We've got our level of NFTs, and the initial design is a fixed plan. But uh, like you've said, Rez, it's down to our community. If they're looking for pivots, if they feel like things need to change, they want something else from us, um, we can look at that and we can do that depending on what the community decides. Um, but yeah, this is definitely what one of those things that we decided very early on was, look, we don't want to create something that continuously has to change. Uh, the overall concept can actually stay the same. There's no necessity for us to change this.
Right.
Very
And just to add on, sorry, just to add on one more thing. The only other pivoting point or communication point that I could think of is in the underarching protocols that we launch. So
Mhm.
if we launch, say, for example, a node project, and we have certain investments for stability or sustainability for that node project, and those investments aren't working out the way that we decide, that would be another point that we would involve this community inner circle, and we would have a vote and a discussion to pivot that particular project. So um, this particular room will be notified of every movement, of every pivot that we would be considering or discussing or even implement.
I mean, how nice is that? Being involved at every stage of a project. It's something that, this is again why we've kept this kind of exclusive, because this is this is something I think a lot of people want when jumping into projects, let alone creating them, is just having that level of say so. That's what it's all about, having a voice.
Absolutely, 100%. I don't know. Well, I'm not aware of any other projects out there at the moment that type of impact into a project. So the next question comes, around Discord and all the other socials that are out there. And look, at the end of the day, Discord is our primary communication tool. You have to come into Discord in order to vote and see everything that is purely there for the inner circle. We do have Twitter. We also have Jazz, who has his own YouTube account. But look, guys, anything that is relating to the project, um, we keep all that information quite secure. And inside here into the Discord, we don't want a lot of that information going out, because that may hinder our ability in order to be able to generate revenue for you guys. It can open us up to all sorts of people that we don't want to have coming in, if that makes sense. The other forms like Telegram, we all know how bad that is, and Twitter as well at the moment with Elon. But look, the level of information we need to give out, it just can't come in any other format than Discord. So we do need everyone in there. And look, you can't be part of the inner circle without it, because that is part of the process. So next question around that then is, how are we going to attract non-crypto investors? Some of our, I guess, potential investors and some of our current investors, may rightly be concerned that there may not be enough people within the crypto space at the moment to come on board. So Rez, what do you have to say in regards to non-crypto investors?
I think it has. I think we've touched on this slightly. Non-crypto investors. Again, we're a community-driven project. We want to continue to spread and grow organically through word of mouth, and we want to find those like-minded individuals. But that's not to limit the wheelhouse that we can essentially develop here. So this is a very good opportunity to hear outside perspectives, outside thoughts, ideas for projects and the such. So as of right now, marketing to outside non-crypto investors isn't in our marketing strategy right now. But again, like everything involved in this, it's up for vote if we decide to do something like that as a community. But right now, we want to continue to focus on that word of mouth. I mean, you guys have talked to people, you've heard ideas through various discords, through just talking with everybody, just in real life, and you hear these ideas and you hear that these people just aren't getting any traction. Bring them here, tell them about what we're doing here and see what we can do to help them. I mean, there's no bad question, there's no bad idea until we start digging into it and see if it's even feasible. So if you're aware of somebody who can help bolster our community, we want them here. So continue to talk about what it is that we're doing, how we're trying to change the DeFi space, how protocols and project teams are communicating, and we want to lay that foundation, continue to you know, push forward security at the forefront of everything that we do, and get these projects rolling.
Excellent. Thank you for that. Now, the next question is just around the NFTs, and obviously people want to know, as founders, are we going to be holding on to any ourselves? And if we do, how does that impact supply, and does it dilute the funds and impact the returns on our investors? So I'll throw that one out to you, Jess.
Yeah, I was just about to say, I think that's one for me. So basically, any NFTs that myself or anybody else on the team will purchase or will hold, it'll be from that total supply of 2,000 NFTs. We've not, at the deployment of the contract, what a lot of people would do when they start an NFT project is go, okay, I want like 100 NFTs for myself, just mint them straight into my wallet, But we've, although that's something we could have done quite easily, we said no. We want to be on equal footing with our community. We want to make sure that we're fair and transparent about it all. So any NFTs that the team have is from the total supply of 2,000. They'll be minted in the same way our investors do, for the exact same amount of money. There's no discount. There's no whitelists here. No one on the team will get an NFT that hasn't been paid for on the same price that everybody else is paying for it. I don't think I can say any clearer than that. We are paying for NFTs ourselves for this project.
Yeah, and to bounce off of that, that's just because we highly have faith and believe in what it is that we launched. If we didn't have skin in the game in this and we were just racking in the money, what kind of message would that send to you guys about faith in what it is that we're doing? We believe very strongly that this is the right approach, this is the right idea, to bring everybody in and share ideas and share the protocol, and we have faith in this idea that it's going to work. So, and we show that by having that transparent communication, having the securities in place, and then throwing our own money into it as well. So we are on board this just like you guys are, long haul. A lot of our team has already purchased their NFTs. Some people like myself are waiting until payday, but we'll get it done. And but we believe very highly in this project and what we've established, and we have tremendous amount of faith in you guys and the ideas that you're going to be bringing forward.
Absolutely brilliant, guys. So look, I mean, the next couple of questions that we had have already been answered, and that was obviously around vault maturity and how the share split works. So I just want to throw my non-technical stance on that. And look, I mean, we want you guys as our inner circle investors just to have your money, your returns there ASAP, which is why we've gone with such a large split of 90-10. Okay. We want you guys to get there. We want to be able to do everything for you guys. So it's really important that we choose the right projects in order to generate that funding for you guys, because obviously the sooner we get there for you guys, the sooner you guys start earning your money back. And obviously the sooner that we're able to get some as well. And you can see that from that split, it's very minimal on our end that we're taking, whereas let's face it, a lot of other projects are the other way around. So I'm hoping that will provide some assurance to you guys that we're putting you guys ahead of us.
I mean, obviously,
Yeah,
we
Brett,
also want to make some money.
thank you.
But it's secondary. You know, we're not entirely selfless. We have started a project because we would like to proceed further ourselves in our own lives, you know, and progress, but not at the expense of other people. And that's, I think that's the key point we want to drive home. We are not doing this at the expense of other people. You know, we will be taking modest income until we're at a place where we can thrive with our investors.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's also echoed in how we did the distribution. We don't want anybody to walk out of here if for whatever reason it doesn't take off, which we highly believe that it does. But in that small situation where it doesn't, we still tailored our distribution with the investor in mind with the 30% of vault split. So every bit of money that comes in here, 30% of that's automatically put in the vault so that if it doesn't take off or if it doesn't work, nobody who's currently invested and has an NFT will leave empty handed at all.
Brilliant. So, I mean, that lines up all the questions that we had. I don't see any other questions in the AMA, so I think that wraps us up for today.
Well, let's open it up
Um,
for the guys. I mean, we've got Toolman, Super Grover, Sky's in here as one of our helpers as well. If you guys have any questions, just you know, feel free to jump on stage or request to jump on stage anyway, or pop a question in the AMA questions chat if you've got any. Or just let us know you're good.
I think we'll just assume that everyone's good. Oh, no, here we
Yeah.
go.
Thanks, Sky.
Oh,
Yeah.
yep, that's good. Brilliant.
I think Toolman's just typing. We'll give him an opportunity to
Yeah, I
get his
think I just saw
question out.
that. Yeah.
Cheers, Toolman. Really appreciate
You're
that.
welcome.
Honestly, I can't say how many times, right? If we've received a few compliments here, I can't really express it very well via the text on the Discord, but it gives me a real fuzzy feeling in my heart, man. I really appreciate the positivity and the love that we're given by you guys. Honestly.
So yeah, I mean, if you guys are like this, I mean, feel free to shout out to anyone that you know about the project if you feel that they might benefit from it as well. Like we said, we've got 4 entry points. It's we made it deliberate so that even though those people who don't have a lot of money can get in at the lower end of the scale as well. Worst case scenario, they spend $50, they'll still get rewards at the end of the day, and they don't even really need to do any more than that. So we'll wrap it
yeah,
up
and
from here, guys. And look,
if we want to wrap it up and secure the recording, we can at least have the inner circle chat since we got our inner circle members on here and just talk with them one on one.
Yep, absolutely. Let me
on.
just
Well,
secure the recording. Give me one moment. Thank you very much, guys. I'm just going to do a little outro. So thank you for joining us. Thank you for listening to this AMA. We appreciate the 40 minutes that you spent with us today. If you do have any questions, just shout us out. Love you too, Super Grover. Thank you very much. And literally just shout any one of the founders, shout any of the helpers, the mods. We're all available for you if you have any questions. This will be going up on my YouTube, so if you want to leave a comment with a question on there, we'll come to you on the next AMA. We'll leave the AMA questions column open, or the section open, for you guys to type questions in there for the next one. But thank you very much and goodbye.